I'm going to recognize somebody who's a real quiet leader, but my goodness, she has a lot of vigor and a lot of passion for coaching, for mentoring. She's an environmental scientist. She's an adjunct instructor. She's a life coach, a mentor, speaker, and author, even author of 7 books. She doesn't stop. There's a book coming out, which she's going to say more about. But it's really my pleasure and my honor to welcome Mrs. Seun Akinloton. All right. Amen. Praise God. Yes. So please welcome them again. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So we'll just get right into it. So I'm going to ask. So everybody, I'm going to call you by your first name, except my Egbon, who I'm going to call Dr. Remy. But Dr. Remy, can you start off by telling us a bit about what you do and something that can give some context about your leadership?
Good. Good morning again, church.
Yes.
Just to put this in context, I wear 2 hats.
Yes.
My current and my past, my immediate past. But let me say, just to back what you said earlier on, success is within reach of just about anybody. So when people say, oh, people who are born in March, they are born leaders, you don't know what goes inside. You know, some of those people, they really work hard behind the scene. You know, they bury themselves in their academics, in their work, and of course they pray. But so gone are those days when they would say, oh, Awolowo was born in March, so that's why he became a leader. You know, a lot of things people here, they may not be born in March, but they do work that many people actually fear to do. Personal success without leadership or leadership ability brings only limited effectiveness. I think that is important to put in context. Number 3, a person's impact is only a fraction of what it could be with good leadership. Therefore, the higher you want to climb, the more you need leadership. The greater the impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be. And lastly, whatever you accomplish is restricted by your ability to lead others.
Amen.
Just 1 minute. Currently, I am involved in mentoring leaders or student leaders at Oxford in the UK. The School of Government, School of Blatanic, I can't pronounce it, but it's the School of Government at Oxford University, where I'm helping to grow 6 leaders globally, from Asia, from Latin America, and from Africa. And speaking of Africa, just guess where? Nigerians. So these people are in various fields, in medicine, pharmacy, and social sciences, and they are studying. They're in a Master of Public Policy program. And what I do really, I listen to them. Yes. And I think that is really very important. I'm sure we'll be discussing that. I listen to them, and they talk, and they have the answers. And lastly, I've been in the UN for several years, and I work with government, with ambassadors. Again, just looking at how leadership can change the platform, especially in conflict areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's awesome. Even I didn't know about that. That's great. Awesome. So, Christy, please, can you say a little bit about yourself and how you think about leadership and why it's important to you?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. So, as you all know, my name is Christian Amwogu. I am a family nurse practitioner. You've done most of the introduction anyway. I'm specialized in the area of primary care, where we see children from newborn to the frail old. And my husband and I run a home care agency We've been doing this now for about 7 years, and in that role, I'm the administrator, and then my husband and I work together with some other members of the team. So when I'm asked to talk about leadership, I personally sometimes I just feel like I'm somebody who just likes to be successful and do things well, and at the same time be a blessing, because I feel like you cannot give what you do not have. So you have to be blessed to be a blessing. You have to be successful to help other people to be. So basically what we do is to help people, and in helping people, you're also helping yourself. So that's how we see it. Leadership to us is all about making an impact, because when you try to solve a problem, you become blessed, and you also become a blessing to other people. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. So Toluwanimi, so please tell us a little bit about why leadership is important to you, and what you perhaps have, what opportunity you've had, right, to demonstrate leadership.
So, good morning, church. My name is Toluwanimi Olalaya, as he said. So I've been in a leadership role since middle school, but my first major role was when I was a junior in high school. I was one of 2 student board representatives for the school district of Philadelphia. So I represented over 200,000 students in the city of Philadelphia and brought their concerns directly to the Board of Education to communicate back to them. Currently now, I'm going into my second year of college at Oxford College of Emory University. I'm majoring in psychology and minoring in ethics in hopes to go into medical school. The new big role that I'm taking on is president of my student government association. So with that, I know that in that new big role that I am going to be going into, I'm going to be able to listen to my peers, be able to go into these boardrooms with these administrators and just people who influence our school and our community so much, and be able to provide and show that Oxford is not just the small community that we are, but that we're able to be so much better and so much bigger. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much. Awesome. Seun, please, can you give us your view of leadership? And also, I'd like you to share perhaps a little bit of the Global Leadership Summit, your experience at the Global Leadership Summit. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Good morning, church. It's a pleasure to be here. So my view of leadership, I believe that leadership is service. If you want to become a leader, you have to serve. And even the Bible supports this. It says that the person that wants to be the greatest of all must first be the least of all. So as a leader, I lead a lot of teams, not just at work, but also outside of work. I put it in my mind that I'm there to serve. It's not about me, but it's about other people. So in my leadership roles, I try my best to model what I'm asking my team members to do. So it's not about saying, do X, Y, Z. It's about, let's do this, and then model that for them. In terms of the Global Leadership Summit, I've had the opportunity to attend multiple times, and thanks to Pastor for bringing it to our doorstep. One thing that stood out for me through the years that I have been attending the Global Leadership Summit was when Bishop T.D. Jakes said that eaglets don't learn to fly by flying, they learn to fly by falling. And because of the community that we grew up in, failure is always deemed as the end. But failure is never the end. It's when you fail, when you fall, you have that opportunity to rise up. Another profound thing that I've also learned from the Global Leadership Summit is when it said that when you delegate tasks, you create followers. But when you delegate authority, you create leaders. Awesome. And the ultimate goal of a leader is to create leaders. That's when you reach that category 5 leadership, as described by John Maxwell. And that's what our pastor exemplifies. She creates leaders. And that's why she's very passionate about empowering us as church members, as family members, to become leaders that would create other leaders. And that's how we can change the world.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing that context. Beautiful insight and the passion there. Knowing that leadership sometimes can be lonely, right? Do we disagree with that? Does anyone disagree with that? No? But would you mind, Dr. Remy, maybe sharing a difficult or challenging experience from which you learned how to be a better leader?
Thank you. Thank you, Seun, for talking about John Maxwell. I know we cannot discuss this without, bringing that name. He's been a global leader for more than 4 decades. Yes, in leadership, there are situations when you actually learn. In fact, it's a learning curve. And I remember many years ago, I don't want to mention the time and the country because people are watching us from all over the world, in actual fact. But I went to a country in Asia and for a meeting, for a global meeting. And then the president of the country where I was coming from called me. Of course, I had some ministers who were with me. But the president called me and asked me to attend a heads of state meeting on her behalf in the same country because I was already there, and it was like 1 week apart. And of course, they will, do all the whatever was necessary for me to attend. And I was also told that my boss in New York had been contacted, and everything was fine. So it was like I didn't have a choice. And fast forward, I took it, and it was very good. It was excellent. However, on returning home, I got a call from New York to say that that was the last thing I should have done, because not only even asking for cross-checking in New York, which I did, but then the issue of representing a country and representing the president of the country is a no-go. It's conflict of interests. And so I learned about that, and since then, I have learned to really find my boundaries. Because in leadership, yes, you are at the top. Yes, it can be lonely, but at the same time, you have opportunities to think through and really see how you can get the country. I had the Minister of Planning and Development was with me on that mission, and of course he didn't like it that the president had called me, and but that was something else we'll discuss probably later. There was a reason for that. It has to do with trusts, and we'll talk about that later. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that insight. So, Christy, what was perhaps an experience for you that you learned, right, to become a better leader, where you had a tough experience of some form, but from that you learned how to be better?
Thank you so much for that question. So, I've had a couple of difficult experiences, in the area of running, business. There are, when you go into a business, you have these dreams and aspirations and the way you think things are going to go, but then they don't go that way. Like in the area that we are, you think that, okay, once I, register this and put these ads out there, people will just flow in. And then you realize that, okay, it doesn't really, work that way. Sometimes you just have to put your head out there in a way that you never expected. And the good thing about it is that sometimes those challenges, like, things don't always move the way you expect it to move in the beginning. So in the beginning, it wasn't quite easy. You might put in all your resources. We put in all our resources, everything. It was a bit slow, and it was like, okay, what's going on here? And we had prayed, trusted God, sowed, and did everything we're supposed to do. But then, in the process, we found out that we had to do more, maybe go out more because of the kind of thing we do, go into the community, try to do like one-on-one. It's not all about technology is good and it's great. We have to leverage on that. But depending on the kind of business you do, you have to sometimes be more engaged in your community. So that really taught me to be out there more. And then I also, you kind of realize some of my strengths in doing that, because sometimes until you actually experience something, you don't know that you're even good at that. So, going out more, talking to people, even educating people, trying to solve a problem. So I realized that people prefer when you come to them with a solution. So you don't just go out, to people and say, oh, this is my business, buy from me. You have to bring a solution to something that is of interest to them first, that after that, okay, this person is at least trying to help me here before they now sell what they want to sell. So that's nothing specific, but this is just something in general that has helped me along the way. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Christy. So, Toluwani, what's your view on that question too?
So my freshman year of college, I was the vice chair of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. And an incident had happened on campus, and some of the black students on campus came to me because of my leadership position in that role. And so I was vocal about it. I didn't want to admit that I was afraid about what was being said to black students on campus. So I portrayed my concerns directly to the public, and I got backlash for it. Going to a PWI, it's always a little bit intimidating to, speak up and speak out about something that concerns you and other people of color. So it was all online. Racial stereotypes were thrown at me. People said that, I was just a big black woman, loud and lashing out. From that experience, I learned that even though as a leader you may feel alone, you are never, ever alone. I had God with me. I had my wonderful family. I had my friends. I had faculty members who came and supported me through that time. And in the idea that they wanted me to be that loud black woman and, be aggressive, I wasn't. I took a step back. I wrote out what I wanted to say and direct to my school campus. And our leader of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, he sent out a school-wide email and said that if this does happen to take a step further, we do have the power to track IP addresses to find out who did say those stuff about me online. So through that entire ordeal and experience, I learned that I'm never alone in my leadership position, and that there will always be people backing me along the way. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. So Seun, your thought on that question.
Thank you for that question, sir. So I'm sharing on a challenging time in leadership and what I learned from it. I've experienced a lot of challenges as a leader, but I would like to share about this. So there was a time in my career where I was considered to be a rising leader, and I had certain goals that I wanted to achieve, but they weren't coming at the time that I expected to achieve them. So I noticed that at work, anytime there were large sites that needed attention, those sites would be assigned to me. So it could be a situation whereby someone left and then they were looking for someone else to take over those sites. And because I'm an environmental scientist, we do have a lot of sites that we oversee just to make sure that the hazardous wastes are being managed properly. So when you drink clean water in your homes, when you breathe in clean air, and you also have the land that you grow your food in, that's what we do. We ensure that there's no contamination. So I noticed that a lot of large sites were in my portfolio, and when you have large sites in your portfolio, it can give you sleepless nights because you don't want media attention in a negative way at this site. So I started feeling somehow, because of the weight of all this large, complex, legacy historic sites, and I didn't know how to go about it, but I decided that, well, it's just for a period of time. Nothing lasts forever. Eventually, I was able to move up to the role that I wanted, but one thing that situation taught me is that nothing is permanent, and even if you're going through a challenging situation, you can reframe or refocus your perspective about that. So instead of saying, oh, this is a big challenge, I can't do this, you can say, what lesson can I learn from this? What skill can I take away from this? And it's also a preparation ground for that higher level that you seek. So if you're looking to rise through the ranks, you're looking to become a leader, you want to lead teams, then you need to be able to solve challenges at a lower ground, and that nothing is permanent. So that's my takeaway from that particular situation.
Awesome. Outstanding. Thank you all. Thank you. And you, all of you have been successful in many respects, and I love the stories that you've shared. And as we think about leadership going forward, and the fact that leaders lead people, how do you encourage your people on your teams to do better, to offer better products, offer better services, do better in terms of the responsibilities? Do you mind, Christy, if you start, and then I'll go with Dr. Remy from there.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for that question. So, yeah, it's a very important question, because as a leader, you need to know how to encourage the people you work with. If not, that could lead to a lot of frustration. One good attribute of a leader is to be able to collaborate with people, be a good team player. And so some of the things that we practice to encourage our people is to make people feel appreciated. Because when people feel like they are appreciated or valued, they would be happier, and they would be more open to, doing a better work. So some of the things we do is to appreciate people when they do something nice, and then thoughtfully critique. Don't just come out like when somebody could be doing something good all the time, and you never appreciate them, and then when they do one wrong thing, you blow it up. So you do more in terms of appreciating the people you work with, and then asking for their input, right? So it doesn't look like, oh, because you are the boss or because you are the leader, everything has to come from you. Ask the people around, no matter who it is, anybody, any level in your company, in your business, what do you think we should do about this? And when possible, implement those suggestions. All the suggestions, all the ideas doesn't have to come from you. When people say that, oh, wow, they actually took my suggestion and implemented it, it makes them feel like, okay, I'm valued here, and they recognize me, and so that way people feel more encouraged, and also good compensation for good work, right? People should not be overutilized and underpaid. All right, so we shouldn't be so greedy for gain that the people working for us are left out. Nobody wants to work in that situation. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Dr. Remy, in terms of that question with respect to how do you encourage people on your teams to do better, to offer better products, better services? You talked about it a little bit with respect to the people you're coaching, but even back when you had a team at the UN, if you can just give one or two nuggets of wisdom on that.
Thank you. When I was talking about the issue of representing the president,
yes,
the issue of trust came up, and when there was a time we had a meeting later on back in the country, and I was asked to lead another a committee, and of course people grumbled, and the president said, in fact, the president said, Dr. Remy is a trusted hand. So the issue of trust came up, and she said, I was with her when we were developing the sustainable global, sustainable SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. I was the only person that worked with her all through the 2 years and supported her because we had 3 vice presidents throughout the world. So she was one for Africa, another one for in the UK, and then another person were in Asia. So the issue of trust is very important. So I laud that to my colleagues when we work, that trust and trust and trust is very important. Number 2, integrity. See, people will follow you when they know that you are a leader, and they will listen to you when they know that you are a leader who can give them the hope and aspiration of who to be. My colleagues at Oxford University, they see that. As a matter of fact, when Oxford called me in October to do this work, they said, "Oh, we'll just give you one student per year." But right now I have 6, wow. And I'm really very pleased that I was able to handle them. And I think we had the last debriefing about a week or 2 ago. They've risen up to something else. One is pursuing a PhD, also at Oxford. One is coming to the World Bank. I was able to link the person. So the integrity thing is really very good, and people will really want to do more. One thing with teams is that be very careful. They will give you their life if they trust you. They will give you their life if they see integrity 101 in your face. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. So, Toluwanimi, how do you think about that question with respect to improving, helping your team get better, their products, their services, whatever they're doing? What is your thought about that?
For me personally, I think being your authentic self and showing that to your team helps in the best way possible, being who God has called you to be and not putting on a facade or putting on someone else's face. I know that I'm a very energetic person. I like to show that to the people I work with. I like to be comfortable and real with them because I know that if I'm real with them, they're able to be real with me. If I lie to them, then they'll also lie to me. If I'm stoic or like a serious person in a time that doesn't call to be serious, they'll start to get uncomfortable and then they won't be able to produce what I would like them to do. I know going to this new president role, people have seen from me being a freshman, a first-year senator, that I'm out and about. I'm talking to anyone and everyone. Even if I don't know you, I'll walk up to you and I'll say hi. And I want to do that with these new freshmen who are coming in, to show them that I'm a president who they can walk up to and just say hi to, who they can come to for anything if they have any problem. So, yeah,
awesome. Outstanding. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. So, Seun, your thoughts on that?
Okay, so the question is, how do I motivate my team to improve our product? I would like to answer that question by taking us to the Bible. In Habakkuk 2:2, it says that make the vision plain so that he who reads it may run with it. As a leader, if you have clarity of vision, purpose, your people knows where you're going. John Maxwell says that you cannot seize what you can't see. So if you paint a picture of the destination for your team, they can see it, they are excited, they move towards it. So a leader has to be able to communicate what the vision is and make it plain by writing it down so people can't really get in your head. You know what you want, but you must be able to transfer what you have in your head to your team and make it visible for them so they can see. So that's one way. Another thing that you could also do, I think Sister Christy mentioned that already, is to appreciate your team. When you appreciate them, not just privately but publicly, so don't pass up an opportunity to celebrate your team member publicly. It's an energy booster, it's an encouragement, and it makes people want to do more. So when you give that public recognition, especially when you work in teams and you also have to report to someone else, make sure that when you're going into those boardrooms, you're mentioning your team members that actually did the work. And then I'll end by saying that people don't care how much you know until they really know how much you care. So if you're a very caring leader, you're not just about the bottom line, you're not just about the profit, you're also asking your employees or your direct reports how their family is. You care about personal things, birthdays. And one more thing is also that when your team members know that when they make mistakes, there will be no retributions. I actually learned this at GLS. When they know that when they make mistakes, you are not going to pound on them or lay them off, they will be willing to bring their 101% to the table. Thank you.
Awesome. I really want to thank you all, honestly, for your insights. You can see there's really a bundle of insights, treasures. You have probably, across the four of them, serious hours of leadership experience, and they're giving you nuggets of that. I really want to thank you for your time, and thank you for preparing it for this at relatively short notice, actually. But they came talented as they are, and thank you. Let us just recognize them and thank them for